So one of the things I've been unlearning in recent years is the shame conditioning that I have carried around all my life as a woman around the idea of having money. All those silent rules that I have imbibed over time that control my relationship with money and the notion of being wealthy in general. So I'm going to talk about some of those rules that I have, been ditching in recent times. So one of those is that a woman can pay the bills, carry the home, and still be told to stay quiet. Or if you talk about it and say, oh, I'm the one carrying the family or I'm the one helping in this way, then you're going to be labeled as a proud person. But on the flip side, a man who provides for his family is allowed to freely and publicly boast about it so that people will praise him and say, he's such a good man, or he takes care of his family. So for me nowadays, what I do is I make sure that my children can see how hard I work outside the home to make the money that I make. And I make sure that they know the contributions I make towards meeting financial needs in our family. Because I want my daughter, I want my sons to see that as the norm, that it's not only daddy that is the provider. Mommy also contributes. Mommy is also a provider. And that should be the norm. And then another silent rule about money that I am unlearning is the notion that if you're a high earning woman, then you can be labeled as somebody intimidating, emasculating. You can be called somebody that is too ambitious, too modern, or not the wife material. Well, I used to be scared of those titles, but I don't mind them anymore. Right? So as women, we're expected not to flash our wealth if we have any, or at least even if you have and you want to flash it, you have to pretend that you're being sponsored by maybe your dad, your brother, your uncle, or just some man out there. As long as you show that, I don't have money, I'm depending on a man, then you're accepted. You're still called, yeah, she still fits the feminine mode. But I don't care. The flip side, men who are high earners are called, eligible bachelors or odogus. So you can see how much that double standard stinks. Why is it that it's okay for a man to be a high earner, but if you're a woman and you are earning high, then you're not feminine? Then another of those silly rules that I have let go in my life is the notion that as a woman, if you talk about money or negotiate about money or ask for a raise in your workplace or just discuss finances in general in the home to say, let's do it like this or that, then you are considered, a hard woman, you're not feminine. So the less you know or talk about money, the better, the more you are regarded. But I come to realize that their desire for you to stay ignorant is so that they can use that financial ignorance to control your life choices. So for me, one thing I'm doing to unlearn this script that has been drilled into my subconscious is that I have doubled down to learn everything I can about money and how it works so I can know how best to make my money work for me, grow my wealth, and leave a solid legacy for my loved ones, right? So because generally men are expected to be the ones that will leave a legacy for their children, and you talk about the inheritance, sharing the inheritance of the fathers, at least where I come from. But I want to be that woman that will leave a legacy for my children. I want to be the one that my children will say, yeah, my mom left this for me. I want to be the one that my siblings will say, oh, my sister left this for me. Or somebody out there will say, this lady left this for me. That's what I want. It doesn't have to only come from the men, right? Then another of the scripts, those silent scripts that I'm teaching is, we women are generally praised for stretching little money instead of for earning much. So if you see a high earning woman, she's looked down on, she's treated with disdain. But if you see a woman that is not working and she's depending on her husband who maybe is poor and he gives her a little token and say, go and use this and cook, and she somehow does magic and cooks a big pot of soup with that, that woman is praised more for managing little instead of the woman that is earning a lot that will make life easy for everybody. She will not be praised. So, but that is not for me. I'm no longer embracing that idea, right? For me, I am embracing the concept of having my own money to use it and disburse it as I deem fit. And that is something that is like a freedom every human, every woman should have, right? Because we all have hands and feet. We are all able in one way or the other, even if you don't have your whole body parts, right? Because of disability or whatever, but there is something you have in you that you can use to multiply and live the life you want if you make the right choices. And then another of those silly rules that I'm teaching is the notion that when women set financial boundaries, then they are selfish, they are controlling, or they are outright gold diggers. So what I mean by that, for example, you can see a woman that will say, for me, I like a soft life. I won't marry a struggling man. this is a speck of a man I'm looking for when it comes to finances, right? Then you'll be like, she's a gold digger. Can you imagine this and that? But that used to be my biggest fear, being labeled a gold digger. Back in the days when I was still dating and everything, I'll be like, if you take me out, I'll be like, anything, just anything you want. Oh, don't worry, I'm fine. You want water? Okay, water. Yes, water is fine for me. But now I must confess, and I'm confessing it publicly. I like money. And if having boundaries around, who I want to hang out with, or the financial expectations I have on whoever I'm dealing with makes me a gold digger, then I'll gladly take that title with my full chest. And then one last thing I want to talk about, again, one of those rules that control my life is your children, not wealth, should be your priority once you become a mother. Right? So if you're a woman, once you get married, then you should put your career on the side. You should put anything about chasing money or wealth on the side. But those standards don't change for men. So you see a man that is married and he has children, he will still go out, offshore to go and work on the oil rig. He'll still be going for those job travels and everything. But for a woman, it's like, oh, what a bad woman. To be honest, I love my children and they know that I love them. But one thing I did was that even long after the stages of life where they needed my intense high levels of nurturing, for example, I did exclusive breastfeeding. Even beyond that time, they are 3, 4, 5, 6 years old and above. I still put my entire life on hold just to be there for them, as if I didn't have a spouse. But not anymore. I'm back in the game. I'm there for them as much as I can. Of course, I have that responsibility, but I also demand from my spouse that he shows up for them. So two of us, when we, divide that effort among ourselves, every one of us is able to chase our dreams. We can spur our children on to chase their dreams. And when they see dad and mom making that effort in their own lives, then it's also a motivation for them, both for the sons and daughters. And then finally, dependence on men is painted as the most feminine thing to do. And if you are, an independent woman, you are called a rebellious person. So, in summary, the femininity script that I was groomed into accepting all this while has not served me all through my life till now. And if I remain a fool at 40, then I only have myself to blame. So you can call me hard, you can call me masculine, you can call me anything. I don't mind. I'm rejecting all these lies and I'm building my financial independence all over again. And so should you, to avoid stories that touch the heart.